The Regents Podcast. The Regents Podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regents Podcast.
Yes, welcome. I am Aja Moye.
And I'm Ellyn.
Yes, and we are two best friends who quit our jobs to pursue our passions.
Yes, we are.
Yes, indeed. And we are so happy to be here with you guys. We're so happy you're here with us.
Yes, really happy to be here, guys. And you know what? Let's just all just be grateful for being alive, you know?
Amen.
Seriously. Let's just be grateful for lungs and oxygen, breath.
Goodness.
There's just, what did I hear? January's been the longest year. It's been.
Yeah, it's the little things that we take for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just like clean water.
Yep.
I mean, how grateful are we that you can
so grateful. Did you see my water testing video? So grateful.
The basics.
The basics.
Basics.
Honestly, I'm praying for rain because I'm so done wearing my mask. It's let me tell you. And I also feel like I'm in the minority here in LA that are people that are wearing masks. And I'm just like,
that's weird that you're in the minority, but okay.
Literally, me and all my friends are masking, and it's getting to the point where we're all just like, are we insane? Are people is something wrong with us? And I'm like, you know what? No. No. First of all, I know I spoke about this in the last episode, but until it rains, there's just particles floating and the dust and whatever. Until it rains and it starts to kind of turn into mud and settle, we just can't. I mean, I can physically still see ash on my complex.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's been swept away or blown away. I can physically see ash places. So it's I just have to be, grateful that masks exist and grateful that,
and you can do what you can do. So
I can exactly. And I can only control myself. And that's the big thing. And it's actually kind of appropriate. It kind of feeds into our topic of this conversation, which is about, maybe not letting others and their behaviors or things that they're doing make me feel any type of way. Right.
Right.
So maskers or non-maskers. So I, Ellyn with a Y Paleo, have been so inspired by my dear co-host and dear friend Aja Moye music that
is that my new last name?
I just do the whole thing. I just refer to you as Aja Moye music, even if it's even if it's just oh, my friend, she's a singer, Aja Moye music, because I just want people I'm subliminally search
them to
to the way. Yeah, I'm just I'm gonna plant that seed. That's why I am Ellyn with a Y.
Ellyn with a Y.
Paleo. Oh my God.
I love that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, I'm reading this book that Lynn, one of my dearest friends, gave me a very long time ago. And never read it. Love you, but didn't read it. And I saw it. I basically just started listening to it on Spotify because Spotify allows you to listen to certain books on audio.
Yeah.
And it's called You Are a Badass. It was a very, very popular self-help, self-development book. And it's a self-help book for people who desperately want to improve their lives but don't want to get busted doing it.
Don't want to get busted.
And so essentially it's called How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. And this chapter that I just heard this morning started with a quote that actually is a quote, and I was explaining this to Aja before we started recording, is a quote that I read on the side of a Sips iced tea juice box when I was in grade school. No. When I was elementary school. Yeah, really little.
Yeah.
And and my mom didn't give me Sips iced tea often. I begged for it.
Oof.
Okay. I begged for it because everyone else was drinking Sips iced tea. And I was like, please, everyone's drinking Sips. I just really want it. I want to try.
So and when you even saw this quote at all.
Yeah. So it's the surprise that it even crossed my desk. So So on the side, there were all these little, there was a quote. There's always a quote. It's like the Snapple bottle. You unscrew it and it gives you a weird little fact.
Yeah.
on the side of a sips, it always had a quote. And this was the quote. And when I tell you grade school, I'm talking like, I want to say maybe fifth grade. I read this,
Wow. Okay.
fourth, fifth
Yeah.
grade. And it says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt.
Mm.
Activist, feminist, superhero, longest serving first lady of the United States. And that quote, like the fact that quote, like whenever I hear it, like it's a quote that has stuck with me since I was a kid. And I think as somebody who like was growing up feeling like a lot of less than energy, like school was harder for me. I had to really, really work hard to do well in school and, being big in a bigger body. Like there was just so much like less than energy. And I've always felt like I'm always like combating that worthiness feeling, less than feeling. And just to have had that quote bopping around my brain since I've been a kid, it is like a good reminder. And it's funny how it pops up like in life, like it's true, right? No one can make you feel any type of way. People can do things that then present reactions, right? And you have a choice in your reactions.
Right.
And you have a choice in, like, I was explaining this, I was having a call with my parents, and essentially like from this book, it was also like another scenario that was created of like, if somebody let you down because they just overslept, or somebody let you down because, they were distracted because a family member of them is dealing with a medical crisis, like you would react personally differently to the same situation of that person maybe forgetting to pick you up, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But because you would react differently to those people, that means that your reaction is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, your choice is to keep your peace. Your choice is to be like, it is what it is. It happened. I'm going to figure out the next thing, right? Like no one can make me feel or make me react in any type of way other than me. Like it's under my control. And I just kind of love that concept of like, no one can make me feel inferior. Yeah, there's people doing things all around you, but unless I relinquish control of myself to whatever they're doing, someone's trying to make you feel like you don't have nice things. Someone's trying to make you feel like you don't have a good body. Someone's trying to make you feel whatever type of way.
Yeah.
You can't make me feel anything. I don't consent to it.
Right. Exactly.
And I just think it's such a powerful,
I feel.
Yes. I think it's such a powerful statement and a reminder.
Oh yeah.
I love it. And so then within the book, I read another line to Aja. Guys, I'm basically just reading this book. Yeah. So basically, like some of the call outs in this book are like the people you surround yourself with are excellent mirrors for who you are and how much or how little you love yourself. Very poignant. I think I've also like, I feel like I'm pretty, I pay really close, and I feel you as well, paying close attention to who I keep around me and who's in my inner circle, who are my friends, who are acquaintances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, because there's a difference.
Exactly. So then there's another line here that says, our reality is a mirror of our thoughts, the people in our reality included. Right?
Our reality is a mirror of our thoughts, the people in our life included.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Right. So if I think this about myself, I'm going to allow these type of people or this kind of energy around me.
Yeah.
So then this is this comes, it's all these things feed into that larger thing of like, no one can make you feel less than or inferior or undeserving or unworthy or unlovable without you allowing that.
Yes.
No one can force a feeling.
Right. Absolutely. Within you.
Exactly. So another good example was like, if someone called you like a dumbass, you'd be like, you'd be like, okay, well, ew, red flag, hate that person. I'm not a dumbass. Or you'd be like, green flag, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like I couldn't care less. Ha ha. Or you'd be like, red flag, psychopath. but also
Yeah.
red flag because I feel like a dumbass.
Mm,
So it's like if you receive
exactly.
that energy of like I am a dumbass, they know I'm a dumbass. Oh my god, I feel
Question.
bad.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like those kind of like levels of like say I'm a dumbass. I don't care. I'm not a dumbass.
I'm not. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and be like, "Oh, I can still be friends with this person because it doesn't resonate with me at all." And it's like, not for me. That's not for me."
Yeah, exactly.
So it says at the end of the day, it's not about them. It's about you believing you're worthy of being loved and seen for who you really are.
Okay.
And then it's about respecting yourself instead of catering to your insecure need to be liked. Okay, this is the one. This is the one. This is one. We all know someone who does not take shit from anyone ever. We look up to these people with wide eyed reverence and would never dream of being stupid enough to present them with any of our BS or try to make them wrong. Why? Because we respect them and are usually kind of terrified of them in a healthy way. And why do we respect them? Because they respect themselves. So how can you get your lame-o projections and judgments and grace? How can you get rid of your lame-o projections and judgments and grace the world with your highest, most unapologetic self?
Oh,
And that's, I feel like, the crux of it here,
yes.
right? Like, how do we mitigate all the societal brouhaha around us with our own how we operate and exist and who we wish we were more of or less of or this, that, and the other to be able to like show up as our highest selves and put that into the world because our world is a mirror of who we are. So
Mhm.
how do we put out the best possible part of ourselves and make sure that what we're emitting is like also, take no shit and like self-love and like
Yeah.
on like, it's a very interesting thing, I feel,
Absolutely. Oh, it's very interesting.
you know?
Um, wow. There was so much in that.
I know there's so much to unpack.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. When Ellen was reading this quote to me, I said immediately, especially after that last part, saying, the people who take no mess. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my mom.
Mm,
I love that about her because, and people often, she always says, like, people either hate me or they love me. And it's because she takes absolutely no mess. And she's so objective in the way that she looks at things, the way that she reacts to things. But she's still a very passionate person, which is me and my older, mature, having lived some years, perspective. I can totally appreciate it as a woman because I'm just like, yeah, leading a business and being a wife and also, being a young woman in America in the 21st century, 2025, you need to be that way. And so it's something that when I was younger, maybe I didn't always understand because I was growing up and there was a lot of immaturity that I had to overcome or whatever, but it takes a great deal of self-respect to be unapologetic, to say,
mm-hmm.
no, I stand on what I said. I said what I said. This is what I believe. I believe this to be fair, so I'm going to act on that. And how you take it is how you take it.
Yes.
That's how I'm putting it out. That's how I believe in it. That's how I'm going to, move forward. I think there's just so much power in that. And especially at this current day in the new year, I'm even learning how to be more like that in conducting, business with the people that I work with,
Mm-hmm.
and choosing who to work with and who is the best people, who are the best people for me to work with in this stage of my career. Do they have the same values, the same, goals, etc., to work with me while we're all in this, particular moment. And it requires that level of self-respect, that level of self-awareness to
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, this is what I'll deal with. And it doesn't mean, because a lot of people always feel like, oh, if a woman is too bossy or too self-assured, whatever, what is she? She's a bitch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't even have to be that. But however people perceive you that's how they perceive you. We can't
Yeah.
change that. But you respect yourself enough to know, well, I'm just not taking that. You and I can't work together, or you can't be in my life. You're not really my friend because I respect myself enough too much to allow you to, bring certain energy around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about what you just said from
Yeah.
this book.
Well, it's like, I mean, I think that there's also what you just said about, like, the type of people that are around you and that you work with. And it's like, what is in our control as solopreneurs is who we work with, right? It's like, that's part
Absolutely.
of the power that we've taken back
Yep.
from, having been employees and not having control of a lot of what energy was
A lot
around
of
us,
variables.
a
Yeah.
lot of variables. And how, when you interact with someone who's incredibly draining, right?
Mhm.
I read this book, Celestine Prophecy, and they basically kind of spoke about, imagine, the way that when you're interacting with another,
Yeah.
imagine like aura sharing between the two, and imagine watching it be equally shared back and forth when it's an equal
Low.
sharing of energy and flow. But
Mhm.
imagine when you're with someone who's extremely draining and their aura is big and overpowering yours to the point where, like, you can't even see your own aura and color, and they've just kind of like sapped you
Smothered.
dry.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think about that a lot because, like, when I come into, situations, or, I want to make sure that it's like a genuine equal flow. And I don't
Mhm.
ever want to be draining on someone, and I don't want someone to drain on me. Right.
Oh,
I
yes.
want that to be
Yes.
an equal flow. And I think, sometimes there's times when, like, you have a lot of stuff and you need to call a friend or a family member or whatever and be like, just that courtesy of like, hey, I have a lot happening and a lot I need to talk through. Like, do you have the space and capacity for this conversation?
Right.
Because, at least a courtesy of like, can you help me and talk to me through this? Because
Yeah.
otherwise it is a drainer, or like,
Yes. Right.
and that's a courtesy that you have people that you care and love and incubate around you. But then when you're in work environments, when
Mhm.
you don't have control and that person comes at you, like you like to use your phrase, like with mess, and you physically can just see, like, what is that character from Snoopy or Peanuts, where he's got all that like mess all around him, the messy dirty one, I forget, is it Linus or Lionel or something, I don't know, but you could
Aw.
just see this like messiness
Yeah.
just all around. They're like coming at you, they're coming to your desk, and you're just like, no,
Please,
no,
not me. Pass me.
no. Not me. And it's like,
Right.
why do I have to deal with like your mess? Like, you have no, and whatever. So I had been saying, like, leading up to this conversation that we started recording, that I had a situation where I was dealing with an email from a potential like partner that I'd be working with. And it was a lot of like back and forth and me constantly having to follow up. And it was over the course of almost a 6-week period. It started when I was, back in New Jersey. And
Okay.
now finally, like, things are getting going. And I did all of what I could do to get things clear on the on the right track, moving. And it just was always a little bit mess, a little bit mess, a little bit mess, which should have been the first sign,
True.
hindsight.
Sometimes, yeah, we don't come
But
until later.
exactly. And I was like dealing with this woman. I'm emailing with this woman. And you're like, I don't know. I'm like, we haven't gotten on a call. We're just emailing back and forth. I've spoken to her colleague, but never her. So I'm assuming this woman's like leading the charge.
Yeah.
Sounds like maybe now, from what I've experienced over email, that she was more like, a junior level person assisting
Yeah.
this man. And I get this email, and basically it's like, we want double the deliverables for the same price. I'm like, no, that's, at least I've like gotten to the point where I'm just like, that's not how it works.
That's a
Like,
hard stop, right?
yeah, like, you have to give me. So I just doubled my rate. I was like, it's this. And they're like, whoa, we can't do that. And it was this like interaction over email. And I was feeling like this really deep hit in my stomach, like recoiling fear and anxiety of having to email and negotiate. And we've spoken about this on the podcast of like, I would do that for when I was working in another job, I'd have no problem like going to the mat for things. But
Yeah.
for myself is where my own insecurity and my own feelings of inferiority come
Mhm.
into play. And really that becomes a choice.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
I can feel inferior in this situation, or I cannot. And I can stand in my power and I can stand in. And so I had that conversation with my friend Lauren. It just advantageously happened to be like right afterwards, I was talking to her and we
Yeah.
spoke about it. And, you know, I kind of just quickly rattled off, and she reflected this back to me. She said this back to me. She's like, you very quickly rattled off like some very rational reasons as to why you deserve a higher rate for this. Not like, oh, I'm amazing in my value. And she was like, literally, you like listed real, like hard facts, let
Yeah.
alone that you're a professional and deliver high quality work,
Yes.
you know? And I was like, yeah. She's like, so, you know, you seem pretty assured in what you're saying to me. And I was like, yeah. She's like, so like stand in that, feel that. What does that feel like in your body? That doesn't feel like a pit, does it? What does that physically feel like?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's like shoulders back. That's like, that's like a breath of fresh air. That's confidence. That's like feeling good from my chest. Like talk about say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I felt like I was saying it from my chest of like, no, these are the reasons why I deserve the rate that I'm asking.
Right.
So I went back and forth, email, let's have a call, da da da. I had to follow up again myself about, hey, when do you guys want to have a call? Like they keep leaving it and lingering it. And again, something that Lauren had said was just like, you know, you don't like think about the fact that like, I said this and she kind of, again, it's like, that's why I love working with her in the coaching aspect of things. Cause it's like what you say, but you say it and then she says it back to you. And you're like, oh, I do feel like I said that. And I do feel that way. Like, it's not just, So anyway, I said essentially like, why am I so contorting myself and feeling this inner pit to try to work with this person, these people, when people that want to work with me will not, and again, quote, make me feel this way, won't present me with these kinds of situations. Or when they do, the energy I receive is a different energy. Like it was very curt. It wasn't very like friendly. And I'm like, that's not what energy I want around myself.
Exactly. And I don't have to work.
Exactly. I don't have to like work with this type of person.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, I get on the call yesterday and I'm on the call and it's again relevant. It's this man that's like the lead of this conversation. And I very clearly and succinctly like articulated, I'm like, well, usage rights and raw assets. And that means that I would have like, and I was very clear. I was like, I understand from your perspective, it's just recording more videos. But from my perspective, you're asking me for, 1 year usage in paid ads. You're asking me for raw footage. So raw footage means to people listening, when you deliver clients with videos, usually I will deliver one round and one version, or I will edit the video myself. So you don't get access to like raw unedited footage, because when you get the raw footage, you can cut me talking and the script and you can exactly. And then what happens is instead of paying me for multiple videos and coming back to me as a returning client, you've now paid me for one video.
Right.
But you've used it 10 different ways. So that's part of how I price things. It's not just the recording and the delivery of one asset. It's recording, delivery, usage. If I'm editing, that's more work hours for me. Like it's just different. So I felt like so much more after I kind of thought about it and talked about it. And right before I got on the call, I kind of like ran through it in my head again. And I was just kind of sitting there and, it's harder to do things sometimes face to face. You feel a little bit more like they're looking at me. You're looking at me. But I just stared him down on my computer instead of like checking myself out, looking at myself, being like, what do I look like? I just like, I was looking right at him like this. And I was having this conversation with this man on my screen.
With this man.
Yes. And I was like, this is what is going to be,
or it's not going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to go back to the client. He's like, well, we're going to have to like pay, like, it's kind of like out of pocket. And I wanted to be, and that's when I kind of sat back and I was like,
to do with me?
Who do you think you're talking to, sir? Because trust me when I tell you my 12-year extreme. And so this is when I'm like, no, you really are that bitch. 12 years of digital media in name brand properties.
Right.
Do not come to me and tell me, oh, we're eating the cost. You can go eat your cost to lunch. I know how
Yeah.
much money that these people have to spend on this type of stuff.
Right. Exactly.
Eating the cost. So that's when I was like, and I feel good about myself. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And I was like, yeah. I was like, and you don't value my work. I'm not going to value, like, I don't need to value this partnership. Like, I can get money other ways. You know what I mean?
Yes, I can cut this off
Mm-hmm.
and leave the door open for things that are more in alignment
Exactly.
with who I am, who my brand is, whatever, what my brand is rather.
Exactly.
All those things. Yeah. And I think that's that there is, I feel like, a learning curve. Because you and I were talking about this a little bit off screen, but it's different when you're working at an inanimate corporation or whatever, and you're dealing with other people's funds and other people's projects and all this other type of stuff. It's different. You show up differently, in that role. And then when you transition into solopreneurship, whatever, like how we are right now, you have to be very aware and like cognizant of the fact that, okay, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
One, just because I engaged in a conversation or we've had so much of a thread going back and forth, whatever, I can shut it down at any point. If I ever feel like this is too much, or I don't feel comfortable, or, these people aren't giving me, any confidence in their ability or whatever. And to approach those situations feeling empowered and knowing that we have the authority to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it is. And I too am kind of approaching that or learning that rather in real time at this very current moment. Because it's true. It's like, when and especially from the music point, there's no difference. Like, I just want people to know it's not different at all. And I have to sometimes remind myself of that, because being in that very like creative space with people who, you love to create with or whatever, it's more than just the creation part, especially when you have like recording is different. But I think in like live situations or when you want to do projects with people or something like that, you then have to also assess, are we on the same page? Like, if and if we're thinking strategically about things, about where we want the project to go and what could happen if then, all these other types of situations, it's like, I want a group of people around me that I feel are a core group of people, not just kind of like work for hire type of people who are just haphazard because they can play or whatever. It's like, no, well, I'm building something. And it's like that analogy of when you're like building something, foundation. So it's like, if all I need are a few pieces of wood, of plywood, because I just want to build a shack, that's going to take a different type of foundation than if I'm trying to build a multi-story mansion or a headquarters for a big corporation.
Yeah.
I'm going to need more than just a few sheets of plywood or something like that. So it's like, I don't want to have to keep going back and rebuilding my foundation. I want to start strong off the top. And if I know, and if this is not what I need, then it can't work for now. You know what I mean? I would rather just invest in something that's quality, that's going to take me the distance.
Yeah.
Having to, oh, okay, well, that worked for a little bit of time. And there's a time and place for everything. So take that with a grain of salt. But it's like when you're building strategically and you're building a brand with your, UGC and beyond and your personality and stuff like that, it's like, the people that I work with now, it does make a difference in the long run.
Yes.
Because these people are going to be able to say, oh my gosh, we worked with Ellyn with the Y. Do I really want them to be able to say that?
That is such a great way to position that. Like, oh my God, we worked with Ellyn with a Y. And it's just like, do I want people to know that I worked with these people?
Right. Exactly.
That's a really good, because, I think about that too, because like I'm putting myself on camera and it's like, I really like, I even started, how I won't work with anything weight loss related. It's just not in my values. I've also now kind of been looking at like anything financial. It's one thing if it's like, it's very, very situational. It's very specific financially. Like, oh, like here, you don't need to pay, like, you don't need to pay this, or like, here's how to like make X amount of money. I'm like, no. Like, anything that smells of snake oil salesman,
Yeah.
No. And honestly, when it
Right.
comes to finances, I do feel like unless it's even when it is coming from like the big banks, whatever,
Yeah.
like the apps, they can be kind of questionable, and it's like,
Yeah.
what, like, yeah, I'm very cautious about putting something into the world about finances as well. I just feel like that's another arena where I'm like, I'm not trying to like have you capitalize on people who are like really needing to make money,
Right.
myself
Exactly.
included.
But also, because what am I really doing? I'm just feeding into your machine to make your people even more millions and billions of dollars.
Hmm.
You're good. You don't
Yeah.
you don't need it from me. You'll get
No.
it from somebody else. I'm
Yeah.
sure you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it also goes into like we're at we're going on like 2 years now, right? Yeah, we're going on
Us?
2 years. Yeah, 2 years of like solopreneurship
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, what?
jobs.
When? The podcast? I was like, where? Who?
Not yet. No, no, no. But having left our jobs and, being in these entrepreneurial roles now, like going on 2 years. So we have phases. Like in the beginning, it was like, okay, let's figure this out and whatever. And now we're still figuring things out, but we're
Yeah.
in different, we've put on different hats and stuff since then because we've grown and all of that. But with, having the self-respect, etc., it's having your self-respect as a person, but also realizing like what your brand is. What do I
Yeah.
want my brand to stand for? Like you've made the assertions that you're not going to work with weight loss, you're not going to work with scammy like financial things trying to get people to pay or whatever it is. And it's just like, well, who do I proactively want to work with? What do I want to like attach myself to? And that was really in my head just recently as I performed for this, like one of the premier luxury brands. And it was just like, man, like it felt great to be asked to perform for this, this group because everybody knows it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'm the only color in the room. And I
No.
don't really know that that's something that as much as everyone, not just me, but as much as everyone holds this brand to such a luxurious and high esteem, it's just like, well, actually, do I want to be a part of this?
Hmm.
Because I am the only me and my band, we're the only color in the room.
That is.
Hundreds of people. So I'm just like, you know what? Mm, actually, and it's different when you find yourself like when we're just strictly from a consumer standpoint,
Yeah.
you see things differently.
Yeah.
Then when you get into, and it made me think about all the people, how I feel about Beyonce. When I think about like how she had that song Black Parade and
Hmm.
how she wears black luxury fashions and stuff like that to put them on and to put them in the
Yeah.
forefront, and make their brands well known. It's just like, I wonder if she felt that way. Like maybe they asked her to be an ambassador and she's just like, well, I came to all your events or you invited me to this and I was the only like me and Destiny's Child, or me and Jay-Z and I were the only people of color in your room. I don't want to be a part of that. If that's what, and you're just trying to like make money off of us, but you actually don't want to partner, like it's
Yep.
just a whole different thing. And so I sat recently, like on the other end of that, and I was just like, huh, we have this like perception of things. And then when you get behind the screen and the smoke and mirrors of it all, it's just like, what do you really stand for?
Hmm.
So there's a lot, and that's also a form of self-respect,
Yeah.
and not just being a person like, oh, I'm about the accolades and being able to say that I worked with this or that or whatever. Because don't get me wrong, I want to say that I worked with that because it means something.
Yeah. Of
But then it's just
course.
like in the long run too, like, no thanks, maybe I'm good on that.
Yeah. I
you know
know that's the interesting thing. I'm sorry that that happened because that's such like it's such a high because it is such a reputable like brand, but
hmm
then and like an opportunity and like future connections, etc. But then at the same
yeah,
time, it's just like, God, it's so frustrating that then you have to consider that like the deeper implication.
exactly.
And that's how I'm like I said, I'm sorry that that happened and that you have to consider that because all you want is for that to have been a positive thing, right? And to have been like a totally positive experience. But
Right.
it's like it does make me think a lot about like people who see that kind of lacking of representation, equity, etc. Like there's so many different ways to categorize it. But
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's people who see that and it's like, well, I'm going to create then I'm going to do this. I'm going to create something else. I'm going to make something else. Like the first thing that popped
Right.
into my brain was like, you know, Fenty, right?
Uh-huh.
Fenty Beauty, like the shade range. The fact that it
Yes.
was like Rihanna was just like, I'm going to like
Want
it doesn't
any
exist.
shade
I'm making it. And now the whole industry is like, you know, playing catch up to
trying
her.
to get up.
Or
Exactly.
like what's the guy who did Medea?
Tyler Perry.
Yes, how he was
Yeah.
just like, you don't want me to be in your studios. You don't want the kind of stuff I want to make. I'm going to make my own studio. I'm going to go and
Yeah.
create my own thing and my own sound
Yes.
stages. And that's where
Exactly.
I feel like it's like there's this whole play of like, you know, enough everyone wants a seat at a table, but it's like, why do I even want to be at this
I
table? I'm
don't
going to
need
go
that
make my
table.
own table.
There we go. That
Right? It's like you have to kind of figure out like, okay, this is a table worth fighting to be at and really making space for myself and then making room for more people.
yeah.
And then what is a table that you feel comfortable walking away from and making your own table?
Right. And something that I heard from my mentors a while ago, but it always sticks in my head. It's like never sit at a table that you feel uncomfortable walking away from. And
Mm,
that just really means making sure that you're never at the mercy of someone else's, you know, power. Always feel comfortable enough to be able to walk away. So, and
yeah.
even your analogy of, you know, the company that you're working with where they're trying to get you to do double the work for the same amount of pay.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm not so tied to this that I can't, we have no contract or anything like that just yet. I can feel comfortable to walk away and I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
be okay because I know that I'm sticking true to myself, my value, my
Mhm.
worth, etc. So it's like, I don't have to, you know, because people can make you try to feel that way,
Yeah.
right? But you
Yeah.
have to give them consent. They're just like, oh, we're this. You want to work with us. And it's like, well, I don't need that. Maybe
No.
someone else does, but I don't.
That is so true. That does, and that brings that right back to the like people who respect themselves, right?
Yeah.
And respect what they bring to the table and respect their work and like
Right.
you would never think to try to hoodwink or get one over or or try to get more than you can out of somebody who knows their worth, knows their value, and respects themselves and is going to stand in that power.
Right.
And it's such like a
And
such
even if you tried to, you
mm,
wouldn't be able to. That's
exactly.
the other part. Yeah.
And that's the thing is it's like and you know what it is it happens sometimes it happens in inches. It doesn't happen in these big grandiose trying to come to someone with mess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you acquiesce an inch
Yeah.
and that inch can then sometimes turn into 2 inches, 3 inches, right?
Yeah.
And giving up that 1 inch doesn't feel good, let alone giving up more to the point where you're like, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I even
Right.
a
Right.
part of this? This is not something that like reflects me and I don't feel valued and I don't feel appreciated. And I don't feel like I'm respecting myself by staying a part of whatever this
It is.
thing is, right?
Mhm.
That's such like a, you know, obviously that comes back to like the kid story. If you give a mouse a cookie, right? Like, have you ever heard the story? It's or if you give a moose a pancake, there's all these different stories of the same story, and it's
What?
basically,
No.
you know, if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk. If he wants a glass of milk, he's going to need a napkin. If you give him a napkin, then he's going to want to put it in the garbage or then he's going to get mess on his shirt and then you're going to have to do the laundry. And if you give, and it kind of is this like a little bit of a, what did they used to call that when we were in school? Like not an analogy, it was a parable in a way. Yeah. Of, you know, if you keep giving
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Yeah.
someone will keep taking it.
Give them an inch and they'll take
They're
them.
exactly. They are never going to tell you you're giving them too much,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Unless it's like your immediate family maybe being like, you're spreading yourself too thin, maybe take a break. But it's like,
Right.
but even still, it's like, it is your responsibility to be like,
That's enough.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag Jennifer Lopez movie enough.
Enough.
Did you ever see that movie?
Oh my gosh. It was one of my favorite movies.
It is a classic. I love that movie. That movie spoke to me when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Domestic violence.
But no, I think it was a good example of like, I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to put myself in a position to be rescued by a man and then have him utilize. Thank you. That's the thing. I always saw that as like, oh, he rescued her from being like the waitress at the diner and then she got to have this beautiful, nice life, but it was a terrible existence. Yes. No, thank you. No one can have power over me. It's a big issue for me.
I see that. I just want to say there is in my vision book from past years.
Love.
I had this quote. It was along the same lines. I'm going to find it quickly. And it's about wow, I opened right up to it. Okay.
Synergy.
Yes. It's Beyonce.
Of course.
She says, I felt like it was time to set up my future. So I set a goal. My goal was independence. Mm. And every time when I put that in my book, this was 2021.
Okay.
My vision book from 2021. I just took that to be, and it was kind of in regards to her ditching, for lack of a better word, her father as a manager and being her own manager and creating Parkwood Entertainment and all that type of stuff. And it just was such an empowering move that she took upon herself to create her own lane of, what she wanted to do. And it was a form of empowerment also.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's like, when we feel like somebody else has to save us.
Yeah.
Like you and I would speak about on the podcast. It's like we were waiting for somebody to discover us.
Yeah.
No, I discovered myself.
Exactly.
And that was all I needed. And it took me far,
Exactly. And it's a powerful thing, I think, to hear a phrase or hear something said in a way that it finally resonates.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely feel like, I've been everyone that listens to this podcast knows I talk about doing Ellyn with a Y again. We get it.
We know, girl.
But I really am grappling with some like internal stuff as to why I haven't, why I don't, why I'm not, right? Yeah. And it's this idea of like hearing the right phrase, hearing the right quote, hearing the right new way of thinking about something really does help you kind of grab hold of that, like, oh, that inspiration to get me across this bridge of this is like, I'm apprehensive or I'm nervous or I'm scared or I'm afraid to speak up for myself or I don't feel confident or I want to be independent, but I'm in a position right now where I am so dependent on others and whatever. Mm-hmm. And it, there's this final like I hate when people say light switch. That was a light switch moment. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes you could do it in the dark. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's the whole room's not light. Sometimes it's the light of a baby ass candle from a cupcake. Yeah, that's how little the light is of that glimmer of something different or a different path or a hope to move in the direction of a light bulb and then, or a bigger candle. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's not like, it's just like this ember.
Yes.
No fire analogies. It's a difficult time. Yes. But you know what I mean? It's this little thing. It's this little spark. And you just need to kind of be like, oh, that is a different thought or that is a different way. Or I don't have to feel inferior in this. I actually can make a choice to feel a little bit different, or I can question why I feel inferior, or I can notice even steps back. I can notice that I feel something. What is it that I feel?
Or why I feel that way.
Why do I feel that? Or what about this scenario made me feel that? Okay. Awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, how
Being
I
honest with
how do
yourself.
I feel? You know, do I
Yeah.
feel okay feeling this? Do I not feel okay feeling this? If I don't feel okay, is there something I could do? Like if you start to really kind of like allow a moment of a different way of hearing something or a phrase
Mhm.
to sit with you like that ember, right? And instead of being like, it was a watershed moment, it was this big light bulb moment, it's this big thing, and I changed everything about my life immediately. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like it took us a while to get to where we got
Yeah.
to then make a choice
Yes.
and then action on that choice
Yeah.
and then to be here where we are,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, I kind of marvel in the excitement of acknowledging that if I'm looking to do or start or create something new,
Mhm.
how exciting that will be to be able to look at it from the perspective of like a year from now
Yes.
of
Yeah.
like I finally made the move. I'm making those moves and I am like it took me so much to just get that
To
little
just do that.
spark, that little ember, but I
Mhm.
grabbed it and I held on to it. And I could literally cry right now thinking, like talking, but
Mhm.
like, and I just held it and
Yeah.
I just fed it and fed it and fed it and made it grow into this big thing because
Right. Right.
I had that little spark or ember of like, it can be,
Hope.
it
Yeah.
can be.
Mhm. Ah, that's so good. And I'm low key tearing up hearing about it. Because oh, because it's beautiful, and I know we're going to have those moments down the line where it's just like, wow. And you picture yourself and being the woman that you're working towards being, and that you're
Yeah.
her every day. You're showing up as her every day
Yeah.
and doing the things just like how you answered the video when we first got in the studio today. You were just like, I'm just doing all the things,
Yeah.
and it's that act of just doing a little bit each day that I am really holding on to this year, because 2024 went by too fast.
Yeah.
It just went by very, very fast. I can't believe that I had a full year of full time, musicianship, entrepreneurship. That blows my mind. It
Yeah.
really, really blows my mind. And even just looking back on, like you said, just looking back from us making the decision or having the thought to, and then actually doing it or building the things and, working toward, it's all crazy to me.
Yeah.
But when I really think about, like, okay, well, I had some things that I wanted to do for 2024 that did not happen.
Yeah.
So now in 2025, now that I know time goes, every day matters, every single day counts, and every day might not be so exciting, and it might be quote unquote boring. But if I'm working towards something every single day, I know that it doesn't have to be these grandiose actions.
Yes.
It just has to be consistency,
Yep.
doing something towards it every single day, because there will come, then you'll be able to look back and like stand back and look at it and be like, wow,
Yeah.
just me doing those little things every day created this.
Mhm.
And I'm very excited too to look, at the end of this year, God willing, and just being like, wow, things can really happen when you just like, what's the elephant analogy, where it's like, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time.
Oh my god, that's so gross though.
I don't condone that.
She just with something else, like a cake. I
Now
don't know.
we can go on safari too at this
I
point.
literally was about to be like, guys, she's going on
She
safari.
can
Watch
go.
out.
Don't let her go.
She's gonna go poach a freaking elephant. Oh my
Oh
god.
my gosh. It's just the phrase that people say. But how do you eat this huge thing? It's like you just take one bite at a time.
It's
And
so true. It's so
it's,
true.
yeah. So it's just like, wow. And even, at this early stage in the year, I feel like I'm making headway on that. I know you're making headway on that just because of the way you answered the phone and the things that we've talked about in the past
Yeah.
few weeks as this year has started. it's just like we're staying focused.
Yeah.
We're obeying the thoughts and things that are on our heart or whatever. And that's all that there is to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just do it.
That, I mean, not doing it is not
Not
doing
doing
it.
not doing it. That will always ring true. Okay?
100%, 100%.
Yes.
And it's so like, like when we got on the call and I'm just like, I'm just doing the things like sometimes having routine or putting new things in place or, creating like, and I've talked about this, like I like need that kind of routine and
Yeah.
like, just having the like knee jerk of like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to journal, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, I'm going to go to Pilates, I'm going to walk Olive, I'm going to feed Olive, I'm going to feed myself, I'm going to shower, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to set myself like, when it starts to become like, hashtag atomic habits, like when it starts to become these like, this is what I'm doing. I am no longer like blowing in the wind. Like even when I don't really have it, I have this routine and habit to fall back on. And I have these behaviors. And I saw this post today, and it was this guy. He's a actor, singer, podcaster, pop culture person. His name's Matt Rogers, and he is on this podcast called Las Culturistas, and it's with Bo and Yang from SNL, and they're like best friends, and they've had this podcast forever. And Bo and Yang's on it, so it's blown up and it's huge, and but it's funny because he said that because he got asked, oh, what's one piece of advice that you follow? And I feel like everyone is always just like, a piece of advice, and he said, he's like, actually, I heard this actor, he said that he heard an actor, one of the Kates. What's the one, or no, I don't know what her name is. One of the actors in Hollywood. She's like blondish, strawberry blonde. Jessica Chastain, not a Kate, just Jessica Chastain. Okay. She said she was bartending, she was working, she was doing all this stuff to become, work and become an actor. She's, going on all these go-sees, interviews, whatever. And he said that she said, and it stuck with him, do something every day that reminds you why you want to be an actor. Or that you are an actor, whether that's rehearsing lines, going to a, audition, whatever, doing your headshots, whatever. He's like, do something every day that reminds you that you're an actor or why you want to be an actor. He said that that's how she said it. And he's like, and I took that to be, and he's like, and I've utilized that as like, do something every day that reminds you who you are and who you want to be. Like do something every day, right? That contributes to, if I'm going to be this successful touring Ellyn with a Y podcast person who has an audience of people who want to hear me and want to see me, and I get to travel the world and I get to meet amazing, incredible people, and I get to be able to afford the things I need to afford and take care of my family and live this life that I really want to be living. What am I doing? What's the thing I'm doing every single day to show up for that truth?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
is that true?
Yeah. Like what every day? Because again, here we're going to get discovered somehow, and it doesn't, it's that idea of just like, I am doing the things, I'm doing the work, but how do I almost like reaffirm to myself every day, like that this is the thing that reminds me that I am this person and I am working towards this thing, and I am whatever,
The other part of why I love that so much is it takes you out of your head and gets you into action.
Yeah.
Because we've spoken about this before where it was like, while I was working in corporate, there were times where it was just like, I don't feel like I'm an artist, but that's probably because maybe at that moment, maybe that day, I've obviously worked an 8-hour day in corporate. Now I come home and I'm thinking about like what I would love to do really, but I'm not actually doing it. I'm just up here having this thought loop in my head of how I'm not where I want to be. But instead, let me get out of my head. Let me just go sing, or let me write a song, or whatever it might be. And I think that's so important for people because it's like, we can do a lot of self-visualization and stuff like that, but it's also the act of doing things. Like it's action based. All of these things that you want. As humans, we have this amazing ability to create, no matter what it is. If
Yeah.
it's an intangible, a song or a piece of art or business or, an idea, an invention, whatever it is, we have to actually do.
Yep.
We have to get out and act and do, and then, and be, and therefore be and become.
Yeah.
I think I've learned that a lot in the past year because I'm a very analytical person, but that also means that I could very much like be in my head a lot.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I have to get out. I have to act. I have to do the things because that's what it all boils down to. You have a legacy or you've built something because you've actually, put your hands to work.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true. That's yeah. And that's just kind of the like, that's the crux of it, right? Is just like making sure that like you are who you say you are and
Hmm.
making sure that you know, do the things that contribute to, you being able to say like, I am who I say I am. And if I am like I'm confident and I don't care what people think about me and I like want to be able to, then I like that has to be true. So like, no, and again, to tie it back to the original quote of like, no one can make you feel inferior about yourself. And it's like, no one can make me feel undeserving of
Hmm.
doing my show or of putting it into the world or that it doesn't make sense or that people think it's like, that's all me. No one's saying that.
Exactly.
You know what I
No
mean?
one
And it's like, and if somebody out there is like, oh, this is lame, this is stupid, it's like, it's how I feel about the back of my head and my hair. None of my business. The back of my hair, when I do my hair, it's none of my business. If you have something to say, it's not your business either. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? And it's like, and also
Mhm.
what anybody else thinks about me, that's not my business
Doesn't
either.
matter. Yes, it is that part.
Like, I
It has
genuinely,
nothing to do with me.
I just kind of keep coming back to this idea of like, I
Mhm.
want to maintain a peace and calm and like joy and,
Joy.
but that also doesn't mean not being in the world. It means that like, I'm like this like little I am Sandy from SpongeBob, and I have on my little suit and my little oxygen helmet,
Yeah.
and that's my peace suit, my
Yeah.
calm suit. And I
Yeah.
can go into the world in my calm suit.
Right, right,
My
right.
calm does not only exist inside my safe home in my apartment because I feel like that's a big thing for me is like
Mhm.
I've got peace, I've got calm, I've got that, and my peace and my calm goes with me everywhere and I'm able to, and
Yeah.
I feel like the last 6 weeks of like being outside of my home and traveling and being around a lot of other people, like I
Yeah.
was able to really keep my peace for the most part.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
like even when I felt like pushed outside of it, I was able to like come back to it
Back.
because
Yeah.
it's mine to own and mine to claim and mine to not
Exactly.
let someone else make me feel inferior. It's like, I
Right.
do not consent to the release of my peace. I do
Mhm.
not consent to believing anything other than like, I'm awesome and amazing and deserving of success and love, and that I'm doing the work to achieve all of the things that I want in life. And
Right.
that is my truth.
Yeah. Yes. Amen.
And that
Amen.
is on
Period.
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 Oh
I
man,
love it. I
that's
love it.
so good.
I
I
feel like
was
we went to
happy.
church. I feel like this was
Oh,
such a
yes,
good, yeah. I feel really like, I'm like, let's go. I need to go
I'm
do and
rejuvenated.
yeah,
Exactly. I'm like,
that's what
oh,
I
I gotta
want.
do this
I want
too.
people, I want to feel rejuvenated, but I want people to feel like, yeah, let me go
Yeah.
do the thing. Like, let
Let
me
me
go
go do
work
the
towards
thing.
it.
Let me go work towards it, not just have it
Yes.
here.
Which,
I respect myself enough.
yes.
I give myself permission to do the things and be the person that I see myself to be.
Yeah. So I'm going
I,
to go film a Get Ready with me.
yeah.
Oh, I
Right.
gotta go cake this face with some makeup for a
Go do
live
it.
stream. But I'm gonna take advantage of the moment
Yeah.
and utilize that time to record something, a story of some sort.
Yeah. I mean, I love a get ready with me. That's
I
awesome.
know you have to. That's the thing. You can't just talk to camera. You've got to be
Mhm.
doing something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I do my makeup almost every day to go to stream. I
Right.
also like, I was like, remember, I wasn't like painting my nails as much because I was like, oh, whatever. I'm like, well, and I'm like, no, I actually like painting my nails.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
enjoy that. It's also a good money saving tactic. So I'm like,
And
let me
yeah.
like take back that thing that did bring me joy for so long. I'm going
Yeah.
to start doing my nails again. And I'm like, I'll record me talking about something. Like, I'm
Yes.
starting to kind of create this like little list of like things and experiences and like, stuff that I like, I've never talked about like working at
Oh my
Vogue on
gosh.
social
Yeah.
media. I've never spoken about I told you about the fat Camp Shane.
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah, like I've never talked about these things online. And I was like, these are just experiences. And
Yeah.
I feel very strongly that like I don't want to tell anyone else's story. So there's a lot of things where it's like an interpersonal stuff. And it's like I can tell my perspective on certain things, but I'd rather lead with just like experiences that I've lived through and I've had. And like I did this thing and it's not like, oh, this happened with this person. It's like
And
me,
they
I was
grew
there.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you said painting your nails, I thought of something. Remember in college we had our what do you call those? The programs that we had to do?
Yes.
And the nail painting one?
Did you do a nail painting one?
Yeah, that wasn't you that I partnered with?
I don't
Or
remember.
we went to there was this spot in Hartford and it's still there. It's like a nail haven, okay, for like technicians or whatever. We bought so many nail polishes because they would give us like a
No,
budget.
no, this was before me. This was the year
Before
before
you?
me. Yes,
Oh
yes, yes. Because I
god.
remember in your room once, and you're like, "Oh, I have all this
All
nail
these
stuff." I was like, "Where
I
did
had
you get
all
this?"
these nail polishes. I mean, they
Yes.
gave us like whatever the budget was. I have no idea. But we just went and bought all of the polishes so that ladies in the building could come down and do their nails. And then
Yeah.
I would like do some people's nails. I learned how to do like the whole like animal print designs
I
or whatever. I had
love
those nail
that.
polishes for a while because I
Yes.
too love to paint my nails. They're not done at this moment, but
That was how I learned. I learned from you to have
yes,
programming, having to do
programming
programming. You
every
were given a budget. You have to do it like at one or two a
time.
semester, and it
Yeah.
was like make this enjoyable by making it something you want to
You
do.
love to do. Yeah.
Yes,
And
I
that
did
was
a
one of them.
I did a
That
sushi
one
making
inspired me.
class.
You did?
Yeah.
In the lounge?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
find
yeah. In the Regents Lounge, I burned the rice the first
wow.
time, but I figured it out.
Great.
I wanted to
Oh
learn
my
to make
gosh, you were in
sushi.
the kitchen? Oh
Oh,
my goodness. Wow.
so
Yeah,
much
I
junk
had
food in there.
the nail polish one and the other one that I really loved was I got an award for that one, was the pottery one. We
Oh,
had
yes, I remember. Yes, yes, yes.
pottery and then we took it to the kiln and all that.
Yes, I remember that one. You got an award for that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I think
That's
it was the
awesome.
pottery one. Mhm.
Trying to think like what else. I mean, I did one that was like, oh, it was like a Grammy or an Oscars watching
Oh,
party.
yes. Yeah. I did something like that
Yeah,
too.
stuff
I think
like
we
that.
also did one for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I partook in one for the Super
Yeah. I
Bowl.
did one for the Olympics because I absolutely love the Olympics. And I also was going to an Olympics themed social with
Uh-huh.
my sorority. So I was like, oh, I'll buy decorations. I can bring them to the social.
Double duty.
So it literally,
Something smart. Smart. Okay.
literally smarter, not harder. I was like, I'm going to make these $25 budget that the
Make this
school
work.
gives me.
I'm gonna make this stretch.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you got to go and like get the, supplies, whatever. I was like, I don't have a car. What am I supposed to do?
Right. Amazon was not as prevalent. Okay.
No, dude, it's crazy that that's like a
Crazy. 'Cause
thing. That the
now, oh my gosh, we had to
Amazon, Uber, all these things, they were
all the
not around when
things.
we were in college. It
No,
was
we
like
had to
the
rely on the
cusp.
restaurants that gave that actually delivered.
Yes.
You know.
What was that? There was that square pizza place, rectangular pizza place and wings place. I think it was like Buffalo Wild Wings or like Wingstop. It was the first time I had ever heard of like a wings place. That was one that everybody loved. And then there was like this pizza place that delivered like these massive rectangular party pizzas that was very popular with the resident assistance organization. I'll never forget it.
I don't remember that at
They're a
all.
big, fat, thick slice. I was like, this isn't like New York, New Jersey pizza, but I was like, I can rock with it. This is good. I was
No,
like,
listen, Connecticut pizza is a thing. Like Brandon,
it's
and I, when
unique.
we go home, it's
Yeah.
so good.
It's unique.
Really good. You know, that's the pizza I grew up on.
I like it. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Really, really good.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to just continue to live in the land of no good pizza.
Oh, yeah. What are we doing out there?
I do go for like Nepal. There is actually one by my apartment, a CPK. I've never been though. No, no, I haven't gone. But I like,
you laugh that off.
I know, because I'm just like, I could go to CPK in New Jersey. It's like, why am I going to go in California?
Because it's authentic. It's in California.
It's like, that's why. No, but it makes me laugh because I'm like, the fact that we were going to California Pizza Kitchen in New Jersey when like what California's not known for pizza.
It's not known.
So why was CPK such a thing?
I don't know, but it obviously is a thing.
So no, not for me. I'll do like Neapolitans out here occasionally, like fun, like gourmet style pizzas, but like a slice of pizza. I don't think I've had that out here.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah. Like just a slice, like a normal slice. Like I'll go to like I'll have like a Domino's or like an equivalent that's out here, but that's like Domino's, like that's its own thing, you know, but never like, you know, Friday night, order a pie for the house kind of thing, you know, when you were a kid. Yeah. No, never had it here. No, I'll report back when I do.
Okay. It might not be much to report.
No.
No shade.
I love it. Well, this was so fun. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you. Please follow us on all social medias. TikTok's not gone just yet. So
yeah, still got 74 more days.
Oh, Christmas. Follow us.
The conversation rejuvenated you as much as it rejuvenated
exactly.
us.
Love it. It did. It was good. It was a good one. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Thank you, Aja.
Yes. Thank you, Ellyn. Thank you for that quote by Miss Eleanor Roosevelt.
Love her. Love her.
Yes, we do. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you back here. Stay tuned.
On the next one.
Yes, indeed.
Bye. The Regents Podcast. The Regents Podcast. 2, 1. 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay.
Hey, y'all. What's up?
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Okay, ready? Here we
are.
Okay. All right. Here, hold on. Let's run it back.
Okay.
Okay.